Reasoning After Dark. 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 You are now watching and listening to Reasoning After Dark. You are now watching and listening to Reasoning After Dark.
Blessed moonlight, and good night to one and all. Welcome to Reasoning After Dark. I'm Daryl Rock, aka Shock Double, and along beside me is the beautiful Miss
Sophia, the co-host. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming, and we welcome you to another episode of Reasoning After Dark.
Yes, indeed. So the ears was straight out of Gala, Miss Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
These people still have my most of my followings and so forth at this time is on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And so by blocking me and thing,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be a little limitations, right?
Yes.
But nevertheless, that don't stop the vibes.
No.
So I just sent out a few links, and I'm still doing that right now.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Because of the Facebook situation, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play our intro song and music.
Yes.
A few more times, maybe like a minute or two, so I could try to repost the YouTube link.
Yes.
And like on Facebook and stuff like that.
Okay. Right? Yes. Yeah.
And for anybody who listening and who might be in the backgrounds and so forth, y'all could go ahead and share it And let people
Yes.
know YouTube is still
And we're on tonight. So not because Facebook don't have us, we're on YouTube. So you can
that's right.
come over and listen.
Mm-hmm. Just
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so we'll come right back.
we'll be back.
Reasoning after dark. 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 Reasoning after dark.
Yes, family, welcome back. Welcome back to this. It's a nice, cool, calm Sunday night in Brooklyn, New York. Here, well, in New York City, when you're inside, but outside is a whole. You know what I'm saying? When you out here in seasons,
Mhm.
right, and people are used to being indoors, and especially us, those of African descent, right? That when that energy comes, that heat, just for those 2.5 months, it
Mhm.
brings a different energy. That's when you
Mhm.
have all the different parties, festivals, and
Summer
right,
feeling.
right, right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
everybody wait until then, and then all
Mhm.
the trouble is come too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mhm. But listen, so tonight,
Mm.
um, our topic, and I think I should be able to implement it in here. Let me see. Our topic for tonight is going to be. um, family and parenting,
Yes.
right? Family and
And
parenting,
parenting. Yes.
right? Here's what we
Yes.
deal with.
Family and parenting.
Mm-hmm. Right, let me see. I gotta see where's the correct spot to put this thing. Okay, so it's this one. All right. We do this thing as we go, I'm saying? And so if y'all give them a little
Yeah.
time to settle in the place
Come
and
in. Yes.
everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Fam. Here we go. Family and parenting, right?
Yes.
And Miss Sophia, this was, a wonderful suggestion of yours. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Because,
Yes.
this platform, it's important, for people to know that, if both of us are, what I'm saying? That's why sometimes, even when I was coming in tonight, I didn't even say co-host tonight, right? Because sometimes I don't feel like even
Yeah. We don't even have
different,
to say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
The
differentiate.
names is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? My
Yeah.
host, my other host. You
Mhm.
understand? You just said the same thing about me, the other host.
Yeah.
The Shaka man, the right man, right? Yes. So how about you just kind of like take it away and um, you know,
Family and parenting. Yes.
yeah, kind of like what was on your mind when you thought about that subject tonight? What
When I
made you
thought when I thought about the subject, family and parenting, I thought about putting myself in that position, right?
mhm.
Of becoming a mom. Do you like having problem?
Oh no, no, no. I'm fine. I
Oh,
was just trying to see if I was bright enough.
okay, okay,
You
okay.
know, when I get up on this camera, I can't lie. Some way
Mm,
when I look up, I don't mean to disturb you. When I look at
mm,
my eye, right, from my eye
mm,
peripheral view, ever
mm,
since I was younger, I don't ever really see myself as dark as I am until like I take a picture or in a video. I'm like, what? It's
mm.
like I look brown to myself and then see people say, "Why you kind of dark?" Anyway, sorry, Galang. So the light thing can't help me. The light thing can't help me. My mind.
Yeah, the mind
Yeah,
play
little
tricks
trick,
on you
a little trick,
sometimes.
a little
Yeah,
trick. Yeah.
hmm
But sorry,
yeah,
brother. Go on, proceed.
that's fine. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, eh, Parenting. The first thing that kicks in for me is becoming a mom, right? It's something I wanted a long time, but you have to wait for the right time for this to happen. I mean, there's no right time, these things can happen anytime, but for me, when mine happened, it was the right time
Yeah.
because I believe I was prepared, you know. I was
Mm-hmm.
prepared mentally, like probably 85% mentally,
Right.
physically 95, financially well enough to take care of a child, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to put all these things into perspective before this is happening. This happens. I mean, sometimes these things happen. Sometimes it's not planned, but I believe mine was at the
Mm-hmm.
time when I was ready because when I became a mom, I was married, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, being a mom and marry and being a wife, and then you're having your husband with you, it helps along with parenting because
Mm-hmm.
I believe that one parent is not good enough in a home to bring up a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it happens, right? But,
Right.
you know, in my case, I got married, right? And on my wedding night, I became a mom, right?
Wonderful. Mm-hmm.
So it happened like that for me. And, you know, when that happened, it like it brings you into this motherhood mode right away. You
Right.
know, you already get like it's there. It just flicks like it's something like it's like a notch turn on.
Mm-hmm.
So you get right into that mood because you start doing different things that you know that okay, different things that you want to do for your child. Like
Mm-hmm.
you want to be there, right? You want to be there in every way. You want to experience everything about motherhood and parenting too. So there was a lot of things that I, stopped. I've never I've never went out like hanging out with friends or parties and these kind of things because I wanted to spend every moment with my child. Even though I could have left her because my mom was with me, I could have left her with my mom. I never do it. I never did it because I had to go back out to work 6 months after I had my daughter, right? And being away for 8 hours a day, why would I want to be away from her again?
Right.
You know? So
Mm-hmm.
that is the time I wanted to get, closer. I am close, but get to know her, get the nitty gritty, everything, how she moves, everything about her. I wanted to experience that motherhood,
Mm-hmm.
right? I wanted to experience that. So that is why I was there. I have never gone anywhere except probably maybe if it's her birthday and we want to celebrate it and have a dinner or stuff like that. But I have never gone wandering like out partying with friends and then I gotta come home to my daughter. And I've never done that.
Mm-hmm.
Up to this day, my daughter's 26 and I have never done it
Right. Right.
because
Right.
I wanted to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
know.
here's what,
So
let
what
me do
about
something.
you?
I'm gonna tell you me part just now. I hope this is the right video. I'm gonna press right here. Let me see
Mhm.
something. Hold on. Right, this 91. It tricked.
Lucky to have found someone like him, someone who's willing to give his heart. Lucky, lucky lady, you.
Yes, yes. You see, and that's
Beautiful.
definitely, yeah.
That is what I want. I was that lucky lady to experience motherhood, something that I wanted for such a long time. But it
Right,
happened the right time that it was supposed to happen.
right,
You
right,
know?
right.
Yeah.
But
So
I tell you what, because you asked me a question just now. So you see now,
mhm.
tomorrow, because it's part of the reason why I was a little tardy tonight, right? Because
Mhm.
my youngest, he's he would be 9 on
Mhm. Advance
June,
birthday greetings to him.
yes, on June the 3rd, which is
Yes.
tomorrow. So of
Mhm.
course, I have to spend a little extra time with him and stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, for a while he was telling me he wanted to do a song. He wanted to start
Mhm.
recording. Yeah, he's very
Mhm.
animated and very into his imaginative and expressive self. In artistic forms, drawing, whatever. So I said, all right. So he recorded, and that's how come the time frame. Because I was like, I'm gonna let you record this song. Or so he actually did a couple of what he called freestyles, right?
Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
those young people. Uh-huh.
Mhm. But
Mm.
um, interestingly enough, also he was conceived on his mother's birthday night. So you see now, or like how there's certain times. I'm not sure about the other two. Well, no, no,
Mm.
no, no, no. I know the first one, the second one, the middle
Mhm.
one, Mr. Man right now.
Mhm.
He was putting in walk for trying to see if he come in. Walk, trying to see, until one finally test this stuff. Oh, all right,
Mm.
nah, all right, walk again. You know,
Mm.
um, right? So
Yeah.
the first my first child was not that wasn't planned. right? But like I said, I knew the moment.
Yes.
Um, with my first child, it was a very unique experience in the fact that um, it made me. I don't like to. Cause that's not what it was. I was
Mhm.
it made me a young, you know,
Father.
22, 23-year-old father. But um, like usually when certain women are when they call them single mothers or
Mhm.
you're raising by yourself. Well,
Mhm.
that was my position.
Yeah.
Um, like obviously like a year and a half, about a year and a half after he was born,
Mhm.
9 to 2 years. From that point in time, he lived, with me. So
Mhm.
at, at that age, I was probably like 23, 24. So I became not only a father, um, but shortly after that, I became, with my family support, of course, and my
Mhm.
mother's support, and
Mhm.
everybody, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm from a family, right?
Yeah.
So I had that support. I can't see I did it by myself. And ironically, today, right, because this I have my kids there with me, two of them this weekend. Um, one of them, I took them over to my family house. And so they
Mhm.
had some fun because I like to go where all the cousins are and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
said, okay, no, we'll come back over here, but we gotta come now to where I am so that we could have some one-on-one and private space,
Mhm.
and just talk about certain things or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Me find out
Mhm.
how y'all going and stuff like that. I said, because when I was younger, and this is referencing now to their older brother, I said
Mhm.
he was in my young prime. So I was glad to have my cousins or somebody like, yeah, I watch him or my mother and some, when I get a
Mhm.
chance, I would still be trying to do, what I'm saying, trying to do as much as I could do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Mhm.
Um, yeah. So that's part, a little segment.
Yeah. And
Of,
I believe also because when I was conceived, the date that the doctor gave me to have my daughter was on my birthday. So tell me something, Shaka. Wasn't
mhm.
it that same day that I myself, my mother conceived me? If you look at it that way.
Right, 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 right. Yes, yes. Because you know what happened? On my birthday, this
Mm,
tradition of my mother, when I first did it,
mm,
she was a little thrown back, like, oh boy, you crazy. But as the years and years kept going, when it's my birthday, I call her and wish her an official happy Mother's Day.
mm,
And I remind her she has two children and she
mm,
has two official Mother's Days.
mm,
We ain't talking about like the calendar. We're talking about your
mm.
official.
Yes, I
So
understand.
that's
I
when
understand.
you say that, yes, so you got two Mother's
Hmm.
Day. That was in one.
Hmm.
Yes.
And here, another thing too, why I know that my daughter was special.
Hmm.
If you would believe it, that was the first time I had sexual intercourse with my husband.
Wonderful.
First time I had sex.
Hmm.
We court for a year and a half and we
Hmm.
got engaged.
Hmm.
And the second year we got married.
Hmm.
And that was the first time we did anything and that happened. So that is how I believe my daughter is so
Right.
special, special,
Yeah.
special to me.
Well, Miss
My
Sophie,
daughter, huh?
maybe I might be special too.
Yeah,
Because
you
because
special.
but here's what I get a question for you because I see me on me dice to roll a different way when people most of the time don't expect. Boom.
Mm,
Here's what.
mm.
Was your husband a virgin?
No,
Okay. You see how you
no,
answered up?
he has a son. He has a son. I married him with a son.
Okay, okay. Well,
His son is older than my daughter now, but his son was about 4 years old
mhm,
when we got
okay,
married.
right. Well,
Yes.
I'm saying that to say that the parallelities of things that we keep talking about.
But here
Mhm.
now, my daughter didn't come on my birthday as the doctor, said.
Right, right.
She came 11 days after. But look at it.
Hmm.
His son's birthday is 2 days before my daughter's birthday.
Hmm. Yes.
So now all these kind of little things got me like, these things probably supposed to happen. Nothing don't happen in your life except it's supposed to happen. Whatever happened to you in life it's like you're going to school and you're learning, and you learn from what you're taught,
Well, of
right?
course. Oh, wait, of course. Of course. Yes.
Yes, you
Yes.
learn from what you're taught,
Mhm.
And when my daughter was about 13 months, they had a competition with the Pampers that you buy,
Mhm.
right? And you had to like take in the little coupon on it,
Mhm.
right? So it was like, okay, you take in the coupon along with your baby's picture and the different information and so on, right? So the price was, if the child has won it for the country, because this competition went to Trinidad to be judged,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
And I was the last person to see me running up the steps, why the woman said, oh, I was just about to seal this envelope. And I said, okay, I'm here. And I gave her the envelope and my envelope along with whatever information I had to put in it. And she took it and so on. And then after a few weeks and so on, I got a call and say that my daughter won it, right?
Mhm.
She won it for the country here. And her price was $500 US, a
Mm.
year's supply of the same Pampers,
Mhm.
and also to be on the year 2000 calendar.
Eh.
And the month where they put her in, I never tell them what to do. They
Mhm.
put her in the month of her father's.
Yes.
So she's special. She's such a special child to me.
Well, I would hope so, you know.
Oh, she is.
No, sir. I got to pull your foot.
I never had a problem with her.
Hold on.
Never had a problem.
Hold on. Well,
Mm.
I was about to say, maybe it was your innocence and your virginity that you never had a problem. But maybe it's because I broke the cycle and I came into the unorthodox way. And I got to say, because as a man, he's not want to talk this thing, but it's just what it is. But
Yes.
my father conceived me on a virgin break.
That's good.
You understand? So I didn't come from the mother as a virgin. I come from the virgin father. Right? And so you see, the thing in this life is saying never know how, right? So
Yeah.
And believe it or not, right? Because he might not want, he might feel like as a man, maybe, this and that, right? But for me, I still feel special in that sense, like, what?
We all are special.
Yeah,
We all are special. We all are special. Because I was special to my father too, because I was my father's first child. And when my mom had me, she didn't go to the hospital. They had the village midwife. The village midwife was there. He had a maid for my mom for 9 days, So she didn't have to do anything. She had this maid to clean and everything and stuff like that, right? So I was special to him too,
Right. Here's what I want to do. I want to play this thing that you send me. With this little girl. It's a poem.
Yes.
I think she sounds like she's in Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? That's what it sounds like.
Right? My parents are so confusing.
All right, you understand. So let me go. Brief intermission, family, but it's all part of the reasoning. After that, family and parenting is the selected conversation tonight, presented to y'all by the one and only Miss Sophia, straight out to Antigua, eldest daughter of the legendary Johnny Bravo, straight out to Guyana, in case you didn't know.
No.
Good afternoon, AY. I will be doing a poem. Parents are so confusing, I don't understand them at all. We try to obey them, but it's not easy at all. Sometimes when we're playing, they scream. There's too much noise, tone down. but when we're quiet, they're worried. They're convinced something is wrong. Answer me, I'm speaking to you. These words they often say, but take it from me. Those words they never try to obey, because if you only try to answer, this is what you will hear. Hush your mouth, you're too rude. Don't you dare. When you break your mother precious glass, you will hear you're too clumsy. But when they have break a glass, they will say it's an accident, honey. Sometimes when I cry, I'm told I'm too big to act like that. Sometimes when I cry, when I want to wear a fancy dress, they'll say, you think you're big, you can't wear that. Parents are so confusing. I don't understand them at all. We try to obey them, but it's not easy at all.
Yes, and we're back. Michael, what's going on? Tan, Michael Tan in the car, in the chats. Yo, appreciate everybody
Michael.
that take the time.
Yeah.
He said great conversation. You know what I
Great.
mean? Yeah, he said great conversation. So you know what? Because there are many levels. You know, this is why you already know how I stay already. You know what I'm saying, Miss Sophia? That
Yes.
I'm a very dimensional, dynamic, and so are you, right? So
Yes.
we try to have these reasonings and these conversations on many different levels, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
you touched on something when you said like your father, when he with your mother when she was pregnant with you, midwife, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I remember my mother.
Mhm.
No, and like I said, sometimes I might, but listen, man, is the life is the testimony. Come on. So she would say, no, listen, by you rip them up. You understand? You make a get a kind of stitch up. And she said, but she
Mhm.
said part of the reason
Mhm.
was she was waiting for me to come naturally because they wanted to
Mhm.
induce the labor. She was like, no,
Okay.
when
Yes.
he's ready, he's gonna come. So
Yes.
what was the schedule of the midwife? The midwife that was supposed to be around the time when she said, well, she ain't doing this seductive thing or whatever. Was
Mhm.
not around. So she said was she always felt was the she was told if the midwife was there
Mhm.
to help guide
Yes.
and so forth that she wouldn't
Yes.
sustain the little
Yes.
bruises and things
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm. Yes.
And so did you have any midwife experience? Because what it is, I'm gonna go through a little dimension of that. Because honestly, in today's society, especially when it comes to black women, I have some videos and stuff, those of
Mhm.
African descent. Um, because of the lack of midwife, and a young lady in one of these clips is gonna kind of explain it in a short little thing
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And then I
Mhm.
understood what my mother meant when
Mhm.
she said by the absence of the midwife,
Yes.
she think this and such and that. That's why it happened like that, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
delivery process. And
Mhm.
before I go into pressing this video, you got anything to say? Because you touched upon it with your mother on the midwife thing. Did you experience any of that, or what's your views about midwifing?
No, they had to put me to sleep. I had a cesarean section with
Okay.
my daughter.
Right. So you see now, these videos here touch because when I was getting ready for this, it's never ironically, I just call it the natural mystic. It's natural, it's a natural mystic, right? When it happens, that there's actually in the United States of America what they call the black women maternity, there's a maternity crisis where by racial percentage, the majority there are more numbers of African descended colored women
Mm-hmm.
that are either dying or having miscarriages and so forth, and there's something going on with this. So I want to play some of these clips.
Okay.
Right? I want to start with one of them, and then we'll get into some other ones, right?
Okay.
All right, let me go.
Evidence is showing that Black women are dying giving birth. Why can't we have a conversation about things that are killing people? My life matters.
When I became a nurse, I knew I'd have a lot more on my plate than just patient care. The healthcare system is stained by its historic and ongoing abuses against Black people, and demanding change has been slow and frustrating. As a mother, one especially upsetting challenge I've witnessed is what's happening to our moms, and especially moms that look like me. Maternal mortality is a term the CDC uses to define deaths during or within a year of the end of pregnancy. And where does the US maternal mortality rate fall among high-income countries? Dead last. And maternal mortality doesn't affect all moms the same way. Black women are dying at 3 times higher rates than their white counterparts. Even income and education level have been shown not to protect Black mothers from racial disparities in maternal morbidity and mortality. I can say that even with all my medical training, my baby and I were still mistreated. But in one of the wealthiest nations in the world, spending twice what the average high-income nation budgets for healthcare, it doesn't have to be this way. We have the resources. So what change can we as individuals demand from our healthcare system? How can we turn the tide for Black moms? Let's dive in. Now, you might not be too familiar with what a midwife does, and that's because they're underrepresented in our healthcare system. But researchers and even the World Health Organization believe midwifery-led care models are one important way we can reduce maternal mortality and its racial disparities. In fact, other high-income nations with far improved maternal health outcomes have between 2 and 6 times our total supply of midwives. But first, what does a midwife do? Some have nursing degrees, others are licensed professionals. They offer a wide range of services, from monitoring mom and baby throughout the prenatal and postpartum period, providing childbirth and infant care education, to actually delivering the newborn, all while prioritizing natural reproduction processes. Depending on state laws, midwives can work in collaboration with the physician or alone, in a hospital, a birth center, or a home birth. Up until the 19th century, the majority of births in the US were attended by midwives. And that tradition continued even longer for African American communities, who were excluded from hospital systems. Now, the field of obstetrics was new at this time, and white male doctors viewed midwives as their unscientific competition. So they launched an inaccurate and racist campaign to delegitimize the field. By the time legislation brought racially marginalized folks into the medical system, midwifery became far less common, with some states seriously limiting its practice. But what was meant to be an improvement in the system of pregnancy care didn't quite work out that way. Access to hospitals didn't stop pregnancy-related deaths for Black women, even though the CDC deems the vast majority of maternal deaths to be preventable. But what do midwives do differently? That's Stephanie Mitchell, a former labor and delivery nurse currently providing care as a certified midwife in rural Alabama.
Sometimes people go into the hospital and they're like, oh, well, I've got my nurse. And your nurse, unfortunately, is busy doing nursing tasks. So they, are tasked with the, titrating Pitocin, measuring your input and your output. They may be able to offer labor support, but that is not your labor support. That is not what evidence says. Evidence says that one-on-one labor support decreases your risk for surgical birth. Why is that not simple standard practice?
To be clear, Stephanie's not blaming nurses here. She's blaming what she calls an industrialized medical system, focused more on efficiency and less on moms. And the research is actually backing Stephanie up. Several systematic literature reviews have shown that midwifery care can improve maternal health outcomes. Researchers have identified a lower risk of preterm birth, a lower risk of mom losing her baby, a lower risk of unnecessary surgical intervention during delivery, higher levels of patient satisfaction, and significantly lower expenses. These outcomes matter, especially for Black women. For example, even for low-risk pregnancies, Black mothers are more likely than white mothers to experience cesareans, a procedure associated with adverse birth outcomes for future pregnancies. Besides pushing for greater integration of midwives into prenatal and postpartum care, what can we do from within?
All right. We're back. That was only 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Listen, it's called reasoning.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So we're not here on those quick bam, no quickies and no substance. You understand what I'm saying? But, you know, I found when I came across that video, Miss Sophia, I found that to be very informative and a very, very serious thing.
It is, because when she said high risk and low risk pregnancy,
Yes.
I was a high risk pregnancy.
But so many, you see, but that's what I'm saying. How many of us are being told African descendant women higher risk, right? And then you see what because now remember what my mother said about the midwife. And then she said that in the United States, for example, where they charge so much and all that kind of, trust me, all my kids, if I can remember correctly, just the delivery process or whatever, especially if you had to add a C-section, is like over $30,000. You understand what I'm saying? In the United States. So what she was talking about that was so important is that the midwife, the person that helps to guide you in the process when the doctor's not there. The most what they do is what they call those things, is it some kind of class where you go with your husband or something and you learn how to breathe.
Yeah.
And
but I don't know what's the name. I can't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about.
But that's what they promote. But the midwife is way
they
more.
Don't promote that. They don't promote that.
You see the reason why did she point it out?
Yeah, because they're being paid low. They're low pay workers.
Oh,
what she said.
Yeah, but listen, this was the big point. The doctors and the surgeons, because the role of the midwife, they viewed it as competition.
Yes, that's what she said. Yeah.
Right. And because they're creating all of these reductions, and their mentality is, remember what I just said, if you have a C-section or something, 30,000 and more. So they're thinking, what?
Then it's just about the money.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So what they did was they created the legislature to push midwives and make them unpopular. So now today, when you check out those that can afford, like economically in these times, why they don't have the same numbers,
right,
is because they're using those midwife system, which is an ancient African, I must say.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
You know, yeah. But let me play one more clip, because this one is coming from a news perspective, based on the same thing. Because, like I said, you chose the topic for tonight, and I don't mean to necessarily go on saying about it, but it's such a wonderful topic, and you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't know the beauty about life is, you know, the sharing, the relay, the give and the take, and the, you know what I'm saying? That's what creates the dance. That's what makes seasons, time, day and night, you know,
the ups and downs, everything. It's like a cook-up rice.
A cook-up.
Yes.
So my host, thank you. So let me go into this video. All right. And this one right here, I might cut it. I don't think I'm going to play this one all the way out. All right. It says it's 5 minutes, but I'm not going to play this one, I don't think. Let's go.
Okay.
And thanks for everybody that's looking on screen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Pregnancy-related deaths are the highest in 60 years. And for Black women, it's become a literal life or death situation. According to the CDC, Black women are 3 times more likely to suffer serious pregnancy complications than white women. On Friday, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke about the U.S. Black maternal mortality crisis at the annual Essence Fest Forum in New Orleans.
When it comes to Black maternal mortality, it has nothing to do with her educational level or her socioeconomic level. It literally has to do with the fact that when she walks into that clinic, that emergency room, that doctor's office, she is not taken as seriously.
My next guest is here to further explain exactly why Black women remain at the heart of this crisis. Joining me now is Dr. Joya Creer-Perry, the founder and president of National Birth Equity Collaborative. Dr. Joya, it's so nice to have you here today on a very serious topic. Why are Black women suffering the most pregnancy complications and maternal deaths?
Thank you so much, Katie, for having me. So we know that the United States does not value birthing people. They don't value women. And as your last segment showed, through our policies at the Supreme Court, we have created a structure that when you add both Blackness, anti-Blackness, and also a belief that women are not fully human, you come up with policies in hospitals and situations where providers ignore us, and then we are more likely to die in childbirth. And this has been consistent for the last 60 years.
So the numbers are showing, Dr. Joya, that at-home births are becoming a common choice among Black women due to reports of racial inequality from medical providers and physicians. In fact, in 2021, the CDC reported that home births increased 21% for Black women, 15% for Hispanic women, and even 10% for white women. So how concerned are you that Black women are resorting to this to be able to give birth amid what's being called medical racism?
Yeah, I mean, we've known for a long time people have made choices to ensure that they can thrive. And so we would blame them for not showing up for prenatal care. But part of the reason they weren't showing up is because when they would go, they would get blamed and shamed and told how they were not good parents. And so we are worried that if we don't stop blaming and shaming birthing people and moms, that they will do things like not be a part of the system. Every other country in the world that has better outcomes than us, which is every other high-income nation, people do home births, but they're a part of a system. There's a midwife that comes, they're a part of a healthcare system. We have even demonized a very normal way to have a baby. Birth should be an exciting time for people. It should be joyful. So people should be able to have their family members there. They should be able to do their traditions. We have demonized all of that. So I'm worried that if we don't stop blaming and shaming people, that's why you see things like Tori Bowie, we see people like Serena and Beyonce, we see folks having complications, even when they have wealth, even when they have resource. So what happens to the rest of us when we don't have those things?
To Vice President
All right. You know, like I said, I wasn't going to play that one all the way out. But you see that she also mentioned midwife in there.
Mm-hmm.
And what people who are, you know, economically
that more often now, yes.
Right. And in other countries, how they implement other countries that have the same kind of wealth and standard, so-called quote unquote first class.
Yes.
Right? The pre-colonials, the post-colonials. So anyways, yeah, but that was very interesting because you know, sometimes when I showed the first previously clip, it was done by a nurse. People might want to say, "Oh," and then when I show something from a news, then it's like, okay, and then you get that,
yeah,
you get to
relate because it's coming from
a
popular news channel, and
you see the message is the same.
It's the same,
right? There's something that's going on, right, within the medical care. So, all right. So, listen, we know that point. Another thing that you spoke about tonight was the fact that you had a husband and together. So let me put back up my thing here. Right? So parenting, you know what I'm saying? It was a collective conscious decision that both of you made. And to this day, you're both still together, still the parent of you know what I'm saying, of your daughter, of course, right? But it's still moving in that direction. So first of all, just talk about the importance of from your experience, because I'm going to go somewhere with this because, like I said, we have dimensions here. But first and foremost, what have you seen? And, you know, things you might have heard in the news, maybe observed from necessarily not friends, could be neighbors, whatever, wherever your observations came from, that you saw that you feel like, you know, it was a blessing that you were able to have a two-parent family for you and your daughter.
Okay. I mean, I've seen it happen a lot while growing up as not a teenager, but in my 20s, my young adult life, probably I might have been one of them who might have fallen in that same era of just being a single parent, right? When many around you, you're seeing it's happening, right? And I believe that, God had something better for me. He had something better for me. He didn't want me to fall in that way.
Well, I would tell you something. I want to interject, right? Because God could only work if you cooperate. When you understand everything, right? So from listening to what you said, and it's not about putting a weight down on the women that are not.
No, because as I said, I could have been one of them too.
No, wait, last thing we're gonna say.
Okay.
I'm not, because I'm going to a specific point here. For the women that might have not been a virgin by the time they had their first child. All right, cool. But specifically, you're sharing your story, and this is your perspective.
Yes.
So with all due respect, what it is that because you said God had a plan for you, and definitely, but you followed that plan within saying to yourself, you know what happened? And listen, even all right now, I still get a lot of compliments and shout out to your husband, right? Pano, your co-host is a beautiful daughter. This daughter, you know what I mean? She's nice and sexy and thing, right? So I'm sure, especially in the prime fruit picking age of things, right? That, you could have been like, hey, such and such, but to stick to your inner intuition and so forth, your values, whatever it might have been, like I said, the God plan that you felt was for you, that you wanted to be executed. I believe when you do things like that, then the outcome, right, is not surprising.
No, it's not surprising at all. Because, I mean, me as a young adult, right? I know this is from my point of view, right? I may or would have been, as I said, a single parent, right? Because sometimes you fall in love with people, right? You fall in love with somebody, right? And just I'm saying, you may not know if that person was in love with you. You may love that person, but that person wasn't in love with you, right? And that person.
I don't mean to interject, but listen, that you already have a next subject for the next, maybe for the next show.
So let me leave that for the next. Yeah, because this will be a continuation.
No, I'm talking about that line. I have been through a thing about that line, and I still don't really understand when a woman just asks me, do you love me or are you in love with me? But keep on moving. I hope I didn't stop you. But people, remember what I said, prepare for next Sunday about what is the difference, especially from this woman's perspective. Do you love me and are you in love with me? Because I be confused. Continue, please. Sorry.
Yeah. In a position like that, sometimes you say, oh, you probably love this person. And if anything like that will happen, you don't mind having or bringing this baby or whatever, but the other person may not want it. So it takes two. Right. The two of you have to decide, because what I have noticed that when you as a woman and as a mother decide to bring a child and the other person doesn't want it, that's where a lot of different things happen. You
ready to get ragamuffin?
Yeah.
By the time I had my first child at 22, I graduated from high school at 18. But by the time I graduated from high school, because like I said, it's a natural mistake, this is going to take me into the next verse of this conversation. I already had 2 abortions from 2 young ladies. while I was a teenager, before I even had, right? One of those experiences was actually the first time I cried on my mother. You know what I'm saying? Like besides maybe like later on at a funeral or something, you know what I'm saying? My grandparents or something. But because I didn't, like what you're saying in that conversation, I didn't want the baby not to be here.
Yeah.
But due to the circumstances, and like I said, this is before I'm even, and I'm not saying this is somebody in my high school. Let's get this clear, because you know people like to go and figure out rumors and all this kind of stuff. I'm just saying, before I graduated high school, in that time frame, there were two young ladies that had to, right? And just to think about even what the how the government and the system is designed, because they were also teenagers. You know, the promotion of certain things, instead of it being a system for, you know, there's like a blame, teenage, and not this Sunday. I mean, not the coming Sunday, because the coming Sunday we're gonna do with the love and this and that. But the following Sunday, we're gonna probably deal with that old pointing of the finger, right? So I didn't want that to happen, but due to the circumstance and our age and so forth, being responsible and not being prepared for the system. And that's what we're going to talk about 2 Sundays from now, where I'm going to express, and I don't know what's your perspective, and that's how we do it.
That's fine.
The teenager, what they call a teenager, especially coming from the African perspective, we don't really understand our history. We never had that category, because by the time you were a 13, 12, or whatever, and just like how the Jews and other people that the Judaics, I like to say that sort of with the flagging and all the nonsense, observe bar mitzvahs and so forth, because when they see that your menstrual is there, and why when you take your kids before they're teenage and so forth to their personal doctors, if they're sons, they check the scrotum to see if it's, you know, if it hasn't dropped yet, is it holding up, right? Because it's part of the growth process biologically. When the scrotum drops in certain things, then the pathway is open, and if I'm incorrect about certain things, whatever. But that's how it goes. And then the fertilization, now you're able to get a young lady pregnant. So from the African perspective, that was considered, you can be a man, because that is now responsibilities where you have to provide food, clothing, shelter, protection, and stuff like that, right? So now, when they come and they switch it up, because of economic reasons and a whole lot of other things that we're even talking about, and they created a category called teenagers, and now they shame, you know, oh, you're a teenage pregnancy and this, and then they have no help and no assistance, but they got abortion clinics and stuff that they like, hey, you know, if you're not past a certain term and you come with your parents or something or whatever, or a legal guardian or whatever, you can get this procedure done, right? So single parenting is where I kind of want to go to, because that's part of the things and what we're talking about that happens when you know, things don't work. Part of some of us are not prepared for that responsibility, that journey, right? So let me just play a quick clip from Umar Johnson. You have something you want to say before I go to it?
Yes, I just want to welcome Shelly. Hi, Shelly. Thanks for joining us. And Michael, thanks for joining us.
Shelly saw Joseph. What's going on? Blessed moonlight. You know? Thank you for that, Miss Sophia. Because, you know, I get so caught up, Shelly. If you're new to this thing here, I be getting so caught up when I be in the, I don't even be looking in the comments.
Shelly's my childhood friend. Come a long way. Yes.
All right. They're going to tell you about me then. All right. Welcome, Shelly, and everyone else. And like I said, when I come, I understand a lot of people, someone say any background before ground, it don't matter how you do your ground, stand your ground, but stick around.
And Michael too.
And Michael, all right,
And
Michael.
Michael's my neighbor from Guyana, so he's always there for me. Thank you, Michael.
You see what I'm talking about, Miss Sophia? Yeah, because they got me sabotaged on Facebook. So thank you. You know what I'm saying? We're still doing it. Right? Yes. Let's go.
We know that most boys get in trouble between 3 and 7 p.m. We know most girls get pregnant between 3 and 7 p.m. So if Black parents could really make sure their child is supervised and that they have constructive things to do at the end of the school day and just until dinner time, they'll be okay. 3 to 7 is the culprit. Not that our children can't get into trouble outside of those hours, but most of the time it's between 3 and 7 that most pregnancies and most juvenile delinquent activity takes place. So parents have to supervise their children. I would say, having worked in the schools for nearly a quarter of a century now, I would definitely say that parental supervision, without question, is a very big issue. There is no such thing as teenage pregnancy if there's parental supervision. You cannot get pregnant if you're being supervised by your parents. You cannot get pregnant if you're being supervised by responsible adults in the community. So parental supervision is a big issue. However, many of our parents have to work 2 and 3 jobs, so they're not always available to supervise their child, which is why we as a community have to come together and provide that supportive system that can help our parents supervise their children when they can't be available to do so themselves. So even though the parent might be the first teacher of the child, I think the community itself is the first protector of the child, because no parent can protect their child on their own. No parent can supervise their child on their own. No parent can educate their child on their own. And let's also keep in mind that most of our children are being raised by Black women, single Black mothers who are doing the best that they can, but they can't do it all on their own. Too often we focus on the parent and not enough on the community where that parent lives. The Black church has been given, they've been wiped totally.
All right. You know what I'm saying? You know, Umar about to go down, start doing, you know, Umar, everybody should know Umar by now, whether you like this and that, disagree. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Once, you know, spark your mind, help you to think. So you see what I'm saying, Miss Sophia? Any thoughts about to add on? Did Dr. Umar spark any conversation that you wanted to say? Because like I said, you're a 2-parent family, and he's obviously speaking from the perspective of single mothers and single parenting and stuff like that.
Well,
and those hours, and even if it's not that, what do you think about those hours as a parent? You know, 3 to 7, I think it's very, you know, those are very good points to even say right now. You know, would you agree that when you got out from school between 3 and, I mean, it might have been a little bit more stricter in our times, but let's say between that 3 p.m. to that 7 p.m., if your child, you know, has that flexibility, young adult, you know what I'm saying? What's your thing been about?
It should be a limit, because if they have that much time on their hand, trust me, they can go and do bad things. They can go and follow the friends, because, like, you know, I would say, like, back home, like if you got a little trench somewhere, or a little canal or something, your friend will encourage you, say, come man, we got much time, let me go and get a swim and these kind of things. And sometimes you never know what will happen, and you put your parents in trouble. So that time away, I believe there should be in some kind of lessons, you know, for whatever subject that child might be weak in. You have classes after your school, you go to that class and you continue your studies until your parent can get you.
Was that part of the strategy that you use as a parent? What was one of the strategies you used? But like, let's say, you know, you got a teenage daughter, because she in her 20s now, so you ain't got to like hold your hand no more. But at a certain point, because, you know, there's a point where you got to be like, you know, I buy my come and whisper.
Yeah. Well, our father is very protective over her. As you know, men with daughters, yeah, they know what's going on outside, because they were once there, eh?
Right.
So they gonna want to see the daughter go through them kind of different things, right? Most of the time, all the time up to now, my husband would take my daughter to university, take her to work, bring her back home, and these kind of things. He's always there. He's a little miserable, but he's always there. You know,
we always miserable.
He would want, I have to do this, but he's still gonna end up doing what he gotta do.
I just
You know what I
talk too
mean?
much, and we just desires be a little misrebel. This don't tell them thing. But listen,
Whatever. What
You touch
flipping
on,
ever.
you touch on something, right? But this is what I'm saying. This is why we dep on this thing here together. You understand what I'm showing up on this reasoning after dark, the conversation, family, and parenting. I got another little clip for press. This one is got some informative information, right? But it might take us a little 3-4 minutes. So this might be good for those who want to take a little, whatever, little this and that. But don't forget that our little video still is not like them kind of like something to just wave over, because it's part of our reasoning and it's part of our conversation. But it's important to also draw references from other places so people will know, well, this is not just things that's in our head and what we were thinking about. You know what I'm saying? So let me just hit this clip and let me proceed. So, tonight we might go up to Miss Sophia. How you feel, but you all right?
Well, it depends on how the conversation going. I won't cut it.
No, me talking about conversation. I want to know if you're all right. You could sustain. You gotta get, because you might gotta get permission. You said
no.
No. This is the wrong word. You might gotta have a conversation, reasoning. But anyway, tell me when I come back. Let me play this clip. I ain't starting nothing. My brother, blessed love. You understand what I'm showing you? Yeah.
I have some disturbing stats I want to share with you about fatherless homes. And by the way, some of the stats, you may, I've seen this before. I'm going to tell you, when you read some of these stats, you're going to sit there and say, that is insane. By the way, these stats are from 2021 of the impact a father makes in a child upbringing, both a girl and a boy. Like I said, disturbing, but you will be shell-shocked with the stats. If you get value from the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let me get right into it. The U.S. has the highest rate of children living in a single-parent household of any nation in the world. About 80% of single-parent homes are led by single mothers, at a rate of 23% of children living with one parent and no other adult. The United States stands over 3 times the world average of 7% of children raised by one parent. For reference, the number stands at 3% in China, 4% in India. This is not an area we want to be competing with other countries, by the way. If there is a statistic to not be competing in, this is one of the statistics. China's at 3, India's at 4, the world's at 7. We're at 23% in America. Zero bragging rights. This is the stat everybody wants to hide. And this is the stats where the side effects of this, we ain't going to see for 2 decades or 3 decades or longer. Takes a while to see the side effects. Let me continue. Even for children with a father present in the home, the average school-age boy only spends about 30 minutes per week with one-on-one conversations with his father. For comparison, the same boy, on average, will spend about 44 hours a week watching television, playing video games, and surfing the internet. In our house, there is no video games throughout the week. It's on the weekends. After you read 150 pages throughout the week, then you have the right to play video games for an hour or 2 on the weekend, and that's what you have to earn. You have to move your body, you have to exercise. There's certain things you need to do to get to that point. That's our household, but the stat tells you 44 hours a week of watching TV, playing video games, and surfing the internet. Let me continue. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of teen suicides, 85% of children and teens with behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. Let me read that stat to you one more time. 90% of all homeless and runaway children, 63% of all teen suicide, 85% of children and teens with behavioral disorder come from fatherless homes. That is a very, very big number. Next, fatherlessness likewise has a direct link to teen pregnancy and sexual activity. Roughly 70% of teenage pregnancies come from women raised in a fatherless home. 70% of teenage pregnancies comes from fatherless homes. 70%. That's a big number. And these same women have significantly higher abortion rates than women raised by both a father and a mother. On the whole, fatherless kids are 20 times more likely to be incarcerated and 11 times more likely to exhibit violent behavior than children from 2-parent household. 20 times more. okay? 20 times more. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chances as children raised by just their father. You may already be blown away by the stats before, so maybe come back and let me read this to you and brace for impact if you missed it. Let me read it one more time. Listen. Just stay with me. Don't get distracted. Stay with me. Listen. If a man and a wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same chance as children raised by just their fathers. The husband and wife raise their kid. The chance of this kid going to jail is the same as just the father raising his kids. The problem is the single mother without a father in the picture that can sit there and discipline the kids, give them hope, values, principles, all the other stuff. We play different roles. This is statistic. If somebody's watching and saying, oh my God, you're discounting women, you're discounting mothers, go get upset at the stats, not at me. This is stats.
What we said.
Mm-hmm.
So what you just said just now is what sparked me to play that clip, right? Because you said I was speaking about those hours and going through that teenage process, and you were like, you know, I know my role and I played my role, but the father and his protective role that he played, you know, you didn't have to worry about that, and he had that part covered. And as far as what that video just showed and demonstrated, you guys are definitely fitting into your family. I don't even like that guy word because it's just a thing we use up here. But your family fits into that statistics of where, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't waver into the other direction.
Yeah, that is why I believe. That is why I believe both parents should be in a child's life or children's life, because each one of us has a role to play. Trust me, because I can't play a father role.
Right.
Because sometimes a child can see the weakness of a female and try to ride on that. Right? But when a father's there, he see exactly what is what. So it's his turn now to come in and do what he has to do. You know?
Correct.
So I believe that both parents, no matter what is happening, because when you get a child, it's not about you anymore. It's about that child.
Right.
And that is what I wanted as a child growing up. Both of my parents should be there, but that didn't happen. And I always say to myself as a child, I don't want this for family. I want to have a family. I want to be there. I want my husband to be there. I want us to live like a family. You know, growing up, I used to be, okay, because I grew up in a family yard, I always wanted to be a housewife. I wanted to be a housewife. I wanted to be there with my family, you know, be a wife to my husband, be a mother to my children, and these kind of things. But my road was like that for the beginning of my life and coming down to my young adult. It wasn't like that.
Right.
You know, but in the end, it became that way. Because I can remember when I used to work in Guyana at Waterworks, my boss, I don't know if he's alive now, Mr. Dundas, he once called me in the office and asked me, we were talking, chit-chatting and so on. So he asked me, what you really would like to do? You know, what you want in life? I told him I would like to be a housewife. And he told me, nothing wrong with that. Because I like looking after home. I like cooking. I like cleaning. When I don't clean and I set my house, I like to watch it. And this is the kind of things I used to do growing up, you know, because of my family yard that I grew up in. It was a family. I see these things. I used to like watch my grandmother cooking in the kitchen, you know, and gone and help her. Her name was Mom. They used to call her Mother Braff. Yeah, that's my father's mother. This is the kind of things I grew up with and I love to do, you know. But life don't really carry you that way where you want to take you another part. It take you around, but then it brings you right back to what you started with. This is what you want, and this is what you get in the end. You know? So
Yeah. You see, like for me no, same way. No, I didn't grow up with my father in the sense that you know, my mother's I would say God make the story very clear that he was one of them man that he believed in economics. So I guess he's on him like if you can't share me about economics, like I don't take care of my child, right? Then he can't say nothing. So presence wasn't important to him, but on the level of she didn't have to worry about, you know, and he was doing good for himself, and always was, right? And still is. So and then but on the family side, the reason why it never really um dawned on me like a single mother kind of thing. I remember coming, I guess this might be a Caribbean thing too, with certain things, and even in certain families from the South in America, you know, have a similar story. But growing up, I remember we didn't have no less than 11, 12 people in my family house, right? So that includes my 4 uncles and some other bigger male cousins and so forth, and all of this, you know what I'm saying, and aunties and so forth, right? So it was a collective, like Umar Johnson was saying, we probably didn't have the outside village, like the outside village, like you know, Ghana didn't maintain, or the African hasn't been able to maintain the village as an extension to a certain degree. Long time ago we did, right? But that now being the male presence, all those different male presence, I never felt like, well, like there was a need for a father, because corrective action, this, that from both sides was always there. You know what I'm saying? But there is an importance of that balance, right? Because I remember there were times, because I'm that type of child that even though if I was taught certain values, I had my own mind, right? And so my mother would be like coming talking to me after whatever might have happened, you know, and she's like, talk to me. Why don't you talk to me? Is it because I'm a woman? Like I remember my mother, and I used to be like, nah, you know, it's not because of that. But it's like, because if it was a man that had a certain, he would already probably know the angle and wouldn't even be asking the question. He would already don't know, hey, listen to me. Is this the XYZ or whatever the approach might have been, right? So the balance is definitely important, you know?
Yes, it is. It is.
And you know what? This is Reason After Dark, and like I said, we're gonna do this up to 10 tonight. You understand? Let me play this thing about family, right?
Okay.
This is Umar Johnson again. Quickly, XRP. 4-minute thing. Let me go.
Yeah.
All right. You know, but he said so many points in that statement in pertainance, right, to family, but especially like in, you know, in the demographics of the United States of America, right? But it still applies to a lot of other places, right? Because still in the Caribbean, there's still a lot of families, because they don't necessarily have a lot of different opportunities for skilled, you know what I'm saying, workers in employment in general. You know, even among them, there a lot of, oh, hey, he just saying he rum shopping, this and that, or you like me with your friend. But a lot of those things are therapeutic ways to deal with if we don't understand the pattern within the society for some of those who might not have been able to provide for the family the way that they wanted to and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, like you were saying, it's honorable, you know, and a good thing, and it's never easy, right? When it comes to, you know, marriage and so forth, and like you said, you were in school and someone asked you, you know, in the office what you want to be. You said a housewife, and I would tell you this, until, you know what I'm saying, like present moments, that's why I said I don't know about what this love and in love thing, right? But I would say that it took me many years to experience the role, like the role that when you say what you say of a housewife, but the importance.
Your video is not in tune with your voice.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, you know what happens when we start going over
Right.
time, right?
Cut off. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, the role of a woman that plays certain parts even makes, see, what a lot of women don't understand is they think it makes them feel they portrayed something to us in these times for us to think like it's less, for the woman to think it's less of herself to do these housewife duties, when in a sense it actually takes away from her feminism, and it also takes away from him actually feeling like a man, you know what I'm saying, getting that meal, getting certain, certain things, and then he can implement, his role. And so, but if these people trying to get us stuck, let me play one other short clip, and then we're gonna wrap it up, play a commercial or so forth, and then but this is pertaining to the subject matter at hand.
Okay.
My position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure. Now, of course, there are many black people who consider those fighting words, because as black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on black women. I have never said that all black women do everything that I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done, or that we do daily, that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that, being my own person and I'm independent, would lead to separation, loneliness, celibacy, and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. We have some serious relationship problems that nobody has been able to address us on because everybody wants to pretend that this is not going on. Over 60% of our women are single, widowed, separated, or divorced. They don't have a man. I just came out of Florida and they got a housing complex that the Urban League built, which is a black organization that is for women and children only. They say they don't allow any men in there. I didn't have time to deal with it, but I talked about them real bad. That's the silliest program I've ever heard of. Them women that had men, if they got a bunch of children, they need fathers. They need protection. We hear about the drug problem that we have in our projects across the country. It's one of the major places that we have a drug problem. We talk about the great strength that we have as black women. Well, the welfare department don't rent government apartments to single black men. Those apartments belong to black women who are allowing this to go on in their home. We have not looked at what part of the responsibility do we share. Yes, black men sell a lot of drugs, and a lot of us black women get the money from them drugs and buy some of these fancy clothes we wear. Drive around in some of these fancy cars. He is not doing these things alone and without support from us, whether they are good or bad. See, we have a lot of power. We are very strong women. I'm saying that we're using our strength in the wrong direction. We're using it to tear our man down, tear our nation down, instead of building it up. Having an education and a job does not necessarily mean you have a successful life. I keep telling black women that to raise a child, they say, well, I provided with food, clothing, and shelter. That's not raising a child, that's maintaining one. To raise a child, you need a parental coalition of a man and a woman. We have sons who, by not having a father in the home, they don't know how to respect women. They take on the black female emotionalism. They're doubtful, they're indecisive, they can't make a decision. They don't know what to do about being a man because we can't teach them that. We don't have that knowledge. We have daughters who grow up in a home where they don't see any affection, where there's no man there. They go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have no idea how to be no woman to no man, how to function in a house with a man, because they haven't seen it. Most of our children, just like us, get all the information we have about how you be with a mate off television. It's the only medium that shows us anybody being together. Those rules have not worked for us. The white woman's liberation movement, we don't have anything to do with that. We have not been under the control of the black man for over 500 years, so what do we have to get liberated from them from? They haven't been our boss. That's the white woman and her man. They're going through that, and that's their business. We don't have any business being in that. They only introduced it to break down the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement started with the black man, the black woman, and the black child standing together, trying to plead for freedom, justice, and equality, and more benefits in the country that they had built. They threw the white woman in there with the women's liberation movement and made it a woman against man thing. That created a big separation between black men and black women, because then everybody started going for self. Then they bring the welfare system in and tell us in order to feed and clothe and house our children, we have to give up our man. You have to put the man out of the house. When the white farm wife goes to the government for subsidy for the farm, they don't tell her to get rid of the farmer, they keep that family together. But in the black community, they make it a requirement, because they want to keep endorsing into the black community that the black man is no good, and that he is not deserving of respect, he is not deserving of us letting him give us any protection or instruction, and that we are better than them. The major responsibility that the black woman has had on the earth for the trillions of years that we have been here has been one of nutrition and birthing children. Those two things have a great deal to do with the survival of any people, the reproduction of the nation, and feeding them the proper food so that they can live. Those are very important jobs. Those are very powerful positions, because it puts us in a position to decide who's going to live or die, and how slow they're going to die by what we feed them. We have a very powerful position. That's not a small role that we play. We have just been taught to misrepresent and misuse that power. The people who we have been counting on to give us the truth about how to get along have failed. The white people don't know how to get along. They don't have that information themselves. They don't get along with nobody on earth. So they didn't have no information to impart to us about how we're supposed to get along. They change their relationship rules at will. We have, tons of black children around this country that I hear from who have grown up traumatized by the fact that they were referred to as the outside child. When we were having children like that, they called it illegitimate children, until the white woman started having them, and now it's single parenting. See, they changed the rules according to what they're doing. So I've called on our people to change them depending on what we want to do, what our needs are. There's another need that has not been addressed in our community, because nobody will deal with it, and that's one that God did not create three sexes. We only have men and women. Now, I have not...
So just go forget hot-headed and heated and no one, right?
Yeah.
But listen, but she said enough. And I think she covered so much of I think the essence of, especially when she touched on the part of nutrition, and she was like, talking about the women and the role of a woman and what is taken for granted. Like, if she don't feed you and nourish you, like even from the beginning, like, you might not even grow up to be, just nobody even see your potential. Right? You know what I'm saying? And then she touched on the whole thing about, and mind you, this is how you know it's a factual thing. Dr. Umar Johnson touched on that, but he's speaking on that years after. That's a very old clip. Right? And but she also pointed out the fact of the feminist movement.
Mhm.
And what she's saying is like since slavery time, especially like in America, the black man ain't been able to tell the black woman what to do. Because you see, that's part of the brutal history. When I say when we really need some healing,
Mhm.
you know, when I speak on the other platforms, but it's still Reason After Dark, we still could get deep in serious too, right? There's a lot of things because in those times, when Umar Johnson said we were still getting married in the times of being in bondage and stuff physically. And the thing about that that's very hurtful about those times was that the dude in the house, the plantation owner, could know that y'all had your little thing and they see, and they had to talk and, oh, that's his wife. And he could just come in the middle of the night and take her
Mhm.
back up into the barn, even impregnate
Yeah.
her before you.
Seriously.
Right? So some of the things that we're dealing with dysfunctionally comes from a hard place. So when you yourself and your husband are able to, and whether your people are able to do that on a biological level or what they call it, the step parent and all this nonsense. I don't like the step. I don't
Yeah.
deal with that. But right, whoever's the two in the parenting position, whether they're the biological or not, it must be understood that based on statistics in how life really goes, we can't guarantee every child has a mind of their own, but
Yeah.
at least it gives a more solid foundation.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like jumping up on straw versus if you're jumping up on up a wood plank.
Yeah.
Jump up on straw, you might
Concrete block.
right concrete. You know, you get stronger steel back and you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. But you know, I see it's 9:56 and stuff. So you have any closing remarks
Yes.
and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out.
But yes, what I would say is that, young people, and this is for my daughter too, know what you want. Be prepared, and once you're prepared and, mentally, you have the strength, physically, you're there with a partner and these kind of things, you can go ahead and do what you got to do, right? Start your family. But before you start it, you must be prepared. You must be prepared mentally, financially, and physically. Yeah. And I would also like to shout out an After Darker who sent me a bottle of Magnum Tonic on our first show. Thank you so much. It was a surprise, but thank you. Delroy, I can drink this thing and you can just swallow, right?
All right.
And thank you, everyone, for coming. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose here, and we thank you. And do have a great week ahead, and continue to come to us, continue to show your presence, continue to be one of our, continue to be our After Darkers, and we look forward for you to invite others to our show. And just show your appreciation. You can even comment. Let us know if you like the show, if it's good, what we can do, what we can implement more in it, and these kind of things. That's what you're here for. You're part of us too, So we thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode of Reasoning After Dark.
Yeah. You understand? Yes. That's the wonderful and the beautiful Miss Sophia B, straight out of Antigua. You understand? The eldest daughter of the legendary Guyanese singer Johnny Brough. Please understand what's going on. And this is Reasoning After Dark.
Yes.
Delroy Rock, aka Shaka Double. You understand? Received. Yeah. Was it for me or for the people? Which one?
You and everybody. You spark.
I taking me share. It's Reason After Dark, family. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you know, and enough people go want. Hey, but tell them we too much miles away. And even when we reach down, first thing I want to do is I want to have a drink with your husband.
Okay.
Yes.
He don't drink. He don't drink. But
No.
y'all would have, yes, anything,
No.
non-alcohol, champagne, whatever.
That's
It's a
what I'm
drink.
saying. Yeah, a drink. Listen, on the African level, right? Let me touch this here very quick. On the African level, when you are at a ceremony or whatever, you open a bottle of water or liquor. It's whichever one. You pour it on the floor and it's considered libation.
Yes.
And then you could do certain things for the ancestors. So there's no discrimination whether you want to pour water or alcohol. Those are usually the two main things, water and alcohol. Yeah, so if you want to drink water, that's fine. Drink together and thing and give thanks. You understand? Because family is important, right? And you know, if for example, and I'm just talking because it's a two-way street, right? If you were with individuals that are not supportive in the things that we're trying to do, because that's also part of family. Because you mentioned before, like once you have your children, that's it, your life is theirs. But I wanted to just interject on that a little bit too, because Ifo, like the African tradition teaches that we all are here with our own destiny. That's not to say that you don't prioritize, but what you can do is come up, because if you come off of your destiny, let's say, yeah, I'm a good parent, this and that, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do to fulfill you, to make you happy. So let's say whatever, you're a good mother, you're doing this, you're doing that, but you're supposed to do this business or do this podcast or do something, right? But you're not doing it, and you're not seeing yourself. So the unhappiness from that leads to a dysfunction within you, even being a mother.
Yes.
Being more disgruntled, more this, more that, right? So this is why the African tradition teaches that also, even within you becoming a parent, your personal destiny is also should be always held as the most highest. Because if you are not complete, satisfied certain things, that also determines how much care, how much love you could give. You know? Yeah. So I get one last video. You get any shout out? Anything we can know is say you had some friend in many comments and stuff. I don't know if you want to shout them out before we, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, thanks. Thanks for coming, Shelly. Thanks for coming, Michael. And I look forward to many more of my friends to come on and just come enjoy the show. Once you have the time, I don't see anything wrong. Just come and enjoy. I inviting you.
You understand? Let me go.
My daddy used to say, history's a book written by the winner. And so once you understand that, you go, oh, so they're telling you a history that sets up how they want you to be. Frantz Fanon says the best colonizers always left behind the churches and the schools so that they could socialize the oppressed to the oppressor's point of view. And that one good priest could do the work of 100 soldiers. So the thing is, you got to learn to read, but then you got to read to learn. And when you really start to read your own books and you read the biography of Malcolm and you read the history of Ethiopia and you understand how they beat back the Italians and were never colonized. We don't learn about that history.
All right. So Miss Sophia, I just wanted to know for us to say
Goodbye.
yeah, something.
Later.
But listen, don't forget, right? Reasoning Uncensored, Monday to Fridays. You know what I'm saying? 8 to 10. Right?
Yes.
So because this is Reasoning After Dark.
Yes.
Before we get After Dark, it's Reasoning Uncensored early in the morning, Monday to Fridays, right? And also stay tuned from Monday to Thursday nights. There's going to be a collaboration of Reasoning After Dark and New York City After Dark.
Okay.
Right? Which is my brother Anansi on his platform, and also in conjunction, in partnership with Talk of the Tongue Radio.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yes.
going to be on a Monday to Thursdays,
Sounds
and the
good.
time frame should be I think it's either 10 or 11, but we'll have some more details. You know, so the schedule book up. And so you know, Miss Sophia, that there is no need for permission. You can just crash in, jump in, slide in, parachuting, for anything anytime. All right?
Yes.
Yes. I know that we got the video set up on Reason Uncensored in the morning sometimes.
Yeah.
You just gotta let me know instead of being in the comments. Just jump back in. Like a phone call, a virtual phone call.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
All right. So listen, man. Blessed love family. Thanks for your support. Once again,
Thank you.
Facebook got us blocked, but this content is still stored on YouTube. You look at the bottom of the screen, it says follow, share, and subscribe. YouTube.com at Reasoning After Dark. Right?
Yes, and on my YouTube channel too, I have a link just on the front page. You know, so you can just go press on that link and it takes you right through to Reasoning After Dark channel, and you just press the live button and you will see all the shows there.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. You see all the shows, all the content. So we in business if it's 4-10 people tonight.
No.
In a little while with the consistency, Miss
Still
Sophia,
listening, you know.
we're gonna need bodyguards and all them kind of thing. You understand? Yeah. So listen, blessed love, blessed moonlight. And we will
Blessed
see you all
Moonlight.
again.
Thanks for coming again. See you next week on Reasoning After Dark.
Dark. Head.
Reasoning. Reasoning. After dark. Reasoning. After Reasoning. After
You are now watching